Hi, I'm Rusty Noakes, CARC 1 and 2, which is Certified Addiction Recovery Coach and Certified Abuse Recovery Coach. I help successful, driven Christian men from crummy childhoods who are addicted to electric sex and other unwanted sexual behaviors achieve purity is the new sexy by helping them heal from the trauma and the wounds that are driving them to act out in the first place.
Hi, and I'm Amy Noakes, betrayal, trauma, and grief coach, helping women navigate through the grief and trauma of living a life of a betrayed spouse. I'm also a master's level LCDCI, counseling people who struggle with chemical dependency and alcoholism through a family systems approach. And this is Purity is the New Sexy.
We're Twinkies today.
I know, we are.
Oreos, black and white.
I know, right? With a splash of red, right? Episode 5.
Yep.
And
part two of the intimacy one that we did 2 weeks ago. We kind of got a week off.
Yeah.
But we're going to tackle the second part of that, and
Right.
we're going to discuss intimacy anorexia.
Yeah, go a little bit deeper into all that.
Which is a phrase coined by Dr. Weiss, one
Yes.
of my heroes, a giant in the field, psychologist, doctor, and just a great guy. I follow his work, I've studied his work, and super good guy. So intimacy anorexia, that's where we're at today.
Yes, he's been doing this a long time, so he knows what he's talking about. So I'm going to use his notes or things that I've learned by reading, and what he's written and other things of that nature. So if I look down, I apologize. I'm not ignoring, I'm reading my notes. So, intimacy anorexia, what is it, right? Well, like he said, it was a term coined by Dr. Doug Weiss, and it's really just to explain why some people withhold love from their spouse, emotional, spiritual, physical intimacy, and it's usually related to some sort of trauma, and it has a huge impact on your relationship, romantic or otherwise. Honestly, I mean, I think intimacy anorexia can penetrate all areas of relationships.
And one of the primary causes is sexual abuse, right? But it doesn't have to be sexual abuse.
Right.
Because I developed intimacy anorexia, and that was one of our biggest problems when we were having the big problems. I was not sexually abused that I know of. I had some creepy experiences, like with my swim coach, making us change swimsuits in front of him, and when I was a kid, and that that's sexual abuse in some way. But anyhow, but it doesn't have to be sexual abuse.
Right. It's really more about the trauma. And I think what triggered this conversation from last time was I was talking about attachments and attachment styles and just different. I don't know that I went into styles, but I know I was talking about attachments and how sometimes when we're talking about the hormones that were released, and
oxytocin for the woman and vasopressin for the male, the bonding, the super glue that brings you together. Yep.
Right. And so we were talking about that and how sometimes when that gets hijacked, you're left feeling, where is it a safe place to be? Where can I go? Who can I attach to? How can I navigate this life in a safe manner in all these relationships, especially your romantic ones? And when you've got this intimacy anorexia because you've not properly, attached, you've not properly dealt with whatever trauma, emotionally, spiritually, physically that you're dealing with. And so that's kind of what we're going to dive into and really open up today. So anyway, I want to make sure I'm not missing something. Okay. I think I got it. Ooh, sorry. I don't want to mess it up. I want to,
I hear you.
Want to get
Keep
it,
going. You're doing good.
So in, when you want to overcome intimacy anorexia, I guess the first thing you need to understand is that you have a trauma. You have something there that needs to come out, that you need to take a look at and understand, how did you get there? Like what is this thing and why is it, what needs to come out of me so I can deal with it, see what it is, and understand that is at the root of what's causing the intimacy anorexia.
So how does it manifest, or how did it used to manifest with us?
Okay, good question. And I'm going to use another thing I want to look at real quick that is actually on Dr. Weiss's website. It's actually under intimacyanorexia.com. So if you want to really look into this, go there.
And that
really look at
website
it.
is by Dr. Doug Weiss.
It is. It's intimacyanorexia.com. And anyway, it's just a few things that tell you, it says here the hidden addiction and how it presents. And so that's what he was asking, personally, how did it present? I know for me, with you, I would just feel like you were a spiritual leader to everybody but me. Or you were too busy with everybody else and trying to minister to everybody else but me. And I felt very deprived of love. Just kind of not important, pushed to the side. You go over here and you're my wife, so just stay in a wife box and I'm going to go do whatever I need to do so that I can feel better about myself. That's how it felt to me, like looking into it. And knowing now and covering, the trauma you experienced and what was going on with you, you were just trying to survive, man. You weren't trying to not love me. And so that's one thing I want to point out too.
What about like in the bedroom though? So like the withholding.
Oh, okay. So
that's
you really
that's a big
yes.
part. That's one of the biggest ways that it manifests is like
withholding, yeah.
Right.
But usually,
and not like I'm not gonna have sex with you because I'm mad at you or whatever. Just be like maybe I'm misunderstanding something or getting a wrong cue or misinterpreting something, so I feel rejected, or maybe my expectations weren't met and I probably had unreasonable expectations in the first place, just because my brain was crazy. And so I would end up just kind of maybe curling up, turning my back, going to sleep, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not being able to connect intimately just because I was hurting in some way, because I didn't have the tools to have an intimate relationship outside of the sexual part.
Right.
So that's kind of what I was getting at with how it manifests for me, us, and all that.
Right. Well, I just went way back early on. Early on, that's how it started. That's how I noticed it, kind of wondering, what in the world is all that? But yeah, fast forwarding today, it's more, and we talk about it. So this is something that happens, I think they should know, is it's real life. Like this is something we deal with, all the time whenever there's a situation.
And I bet we're not the only ones either.
Right, and it's okay. It's okay. This is the whole point. Everybody, we're all healing, and we have to know how to handle it and how to move through it. So because it's there, so we can't just ignore it and withhold and treat our spouse that way. So I guess the way it was manifesting, like you said, it was cold shoulder. I think that's the best way I could describe most. It was just cold shoulder. Just icy cold all the time. It just like there was no warmth.
Not all the time.
Well, only when it was.
But when it was.
Yeah, we're talking about when the issue's there.
Yeah.
No, but that's what we're focusing on. So that's what I mean. But just the icy coldness, and I would tell him, well, I don't understand because you're one way, and then all of a sudden, I don't know the trigger insight for him that happened, and all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm just. I don't know. I don't exist. So that was really difficult for me to try to understand, well, if you're not mad at me, why are you treating me like you are? Like, what did I do? What's wrong? How do we move through it? And so, I don't know. Why don't you talk a little bit about maybe what you're experiencing during those moments because you told me before, I'm not trying to do that. So I don't know, can you speak a little bit about how you're feeling?
I kind of did, just whether it was rejection or an unmet expectation, like maybe you would, flirt, or you would often say something like, hey, I want you, and well, I'm thinking, okay, that means later today.
Sure.
And maybe you were just saying, I want you, and then you would say, well, I always want you.
Right.
Okay, yes, but you said it, and so I'm thinking we're going to get busy later, and then when it doesn't happen for whatever reason, it gets late or something happens, you're on the phone, whatever.
Life.
Then it's like, well, yeah, she doesn't really even care about me. She said that, but she didn't come through, and yada, yada, yada. So then I pout.
Yeah.
And then it goes on for days and days because I go in my head about, intimacy anorexia.
Right. Perfect. I love that you said that. That's that's what I was after. So I love that he said unmet expectations. Whenever we all come into a relationship, we have a set of expectations, whether we realize it or not. And it's really good to unpack those expectations with one another, especially if you're going into a relationship. Those of you maybe that are not married yet, and you're kind of thinking, oh man, this is something to look at. Like, your family of origin matters.
And even if it's
matters.
awful, even if it's terrible, it's okay. But you gotta know what's in there, and you gotta know what to unpack, so that you don't bring damaging, yucky stuff into it and put it on your spouse. It's called transference. I mean, there would be a lot of things that I would transfer from my youth onto her when she had nothing to do with it.
Right, and it's okay that you may have experienced something like that, you know, in your family of origin. But what's not okay is to then dump that baggage on your spouse. And so that's where the expectation thing comes in, because the expectation that you have, they're unspoken, that you just have internally. And sometimes, and this has happened to me, so sometimes you have expectations you didn't even know were there till the thing happens and you're going, wait a minute, what is this I'm feeling? What is this that's going on? I'm always one of these, do a self-check, you know, check in with yourself. What is that feeling? Why am I feeling it? Why is it there? Is it a lie from the enemy? Is it something I put there myself? Is it something that truly is external from my spouse? But what is it and why is it there? And I'm just a huge proponent of that. Always do a self-check. Self-care is huge with me, and we should always be looking internally to make sure, check our own, you know, thermostat of our emotional and spiritual lives, to make sure that we can conduct ourselves in an appropriate way with our spouse and other people. And anyway, so expectations, so unmet expectations can really drive a wedge and set you up for failure in your relationships when you're going, you know, back and forth with one another, whenever there's an issue. So
I think everybody can fill in their own blanks as to how it manifests for them. Let's get into what we can do about it.
Okay.
Because we're trying to keep these around 15 minutes, just because most people have the attention span of a goldfish.
Let's focus on that.
What about the list that we had earlier?
Oh, let's see. It's right here.
Yep.
That one? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So you want me to click on that or just look here?
Yeah, right there.
Okay. So step 1, understand how you got there. And I think that's what we were talking about.
Yep,
you know.
got that one.
So step 2, recognize you're in this with your spouse.
In it together.
Yeah, you're in it together.
So it's not me. I mean, it is me trying to fix me and me working on me, but at the same time, you're involved in it, and you're supporting me, and you're aware of it, and then, you know, you have permission to hold me accountable or recognize it, and then it's my job to be like, okay, yeah, you know what, as painful it is, yeah, you're right. Yep, I need to
right, I do the same thing, yeah. So this is where I like to bring in the 5 love languages, because how your spouse needs to be loved is different, possibly, than how you like to show love. So, for example, I am a touch and time person.
So what are the 5 love languages? Physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation, gifts,
service,
and acts of service.
Okay.
And mine is words of affirmation is a big one, and
for a lot of men.
and acts of service.
Yeah.
Because I like it when she makes my lunch, makes my coffee, whatever. And it's not like I need her to be my maid. It's just, I mean, it's not all about the chores, but it's just kind things or whatever. But here's the thing. If hers is not words of affirmation, and I'm trying to love on her with words of affirmation because that's how I feel love.
Right, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. It's not that she doesn't appreciate it.
What's my love language?
Physical touch and quality time.
Yeah, so he would have to love on me.
And quality time's not one of mine. I mean, for me, quality time can happen. This is quality time. But she needs, like, going out, walking in the park, whatever, doing a study together.
Right.
So if I'm loving on you with the way I like to receive love, because it's just natural for me, that's my love language, and you don't feel that way, there's a problem. So I've got to make sure I love her the way she likes to receive it, her love language, and she's got to love me the way my love language dictates.
Right.
Anyway, sorry.
And it's okay to tell your spouse, hey, I really need this today. I really need you to love me. That's okay, and it's okay to be told that. It's okay for them to say, hey, I need this from you today. You know, and sometimes I'll say, will you please rub my feet?
Right.
And he does it. He's
now,
really great.
The other way to address this intimacy anorexia is to work on intimacy. So doing a study together, spending time together.
Right.
It's not just about in the bedroom. That's part of intimacy, but it's not the only thing there is. Whatever. I mean, playing cards, whatever you like to do, but you've got to spend time together, intimate time together.
So we have a scheduled date night. Okay, rain or shine, we have a scheduled date night. I knew his life was going to get crazy getting into all this, and I was like, okay, we've got to have a date. I've got to have a date. And so I would highly suggest that. And pushing through the pain. Push through the pain. And that's something that we actively work on, because when intimacy anorexia tries to hijack us, we both have to push through the pain because of what all we've been through together. We've got to push through it to meet each other on the other side so that we are not bound by this intimacy anorexia monster. So.
And then the last thing is to develop an awareness of danger signs that signal relapse.
Right.
So, for me, if I were to relapse, it would be to act out sexually with pornography or whatever like that. And there are some definite triggers for me that I don't act on them anymore, but like when I was first getting involved, like you would see signals and the triggers a mile away.
Yes.
Right? And then even now, we just had one a couple days ago, I don't remember what it was.
Sure.
You probably do. But, when you see those signs, like, okay, this is when he would normally go and relapse.
Right.
I'm not going to relapse, but it's still going to cause some static in the relationship until we get it resolved. So just being aware of the dangers of those signals that normally would cause relapse, seeing them and then jumping on them before it gets
Which
too
we
far
both
down the
did.
road.
I think we did a really good job.
Yep.
Yeah. It's holidays. Holidays are always difficult for a lot of people struggling with trauma. So, and just kind of having that, on the back burner is a good thing.
Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to
Yes,
my mom
happy
and to
Mother's
Peggy,
Day.
Peggy Jo, her mom, and to all the moms.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Oh, and I'm going to be a grandma. Just put that out there.
I'll be a papa.
I just found that out.
So hey, we're almost 18 minutes in.
Yeah, we're
what do we
good.
want to do to wrap it up?
I guess where they can find us, I'm on Kingdom Living Above the Line on Facebook. You can find me if you want to talk more about some of the intimacy anorexia. You can book an appointment on my Kingdom Living Above the Line page. There's a link to my website on there. And then I also have a group if you just want to come hang out. It's Kingdom Living Above the Line Betrayed Spouses. So it's very private, very few ladies in there. So we're looking at what study to do. So you would be coming in just in time.
Cool.
And then you?
Yep, for me, and all this is going to be in the description, by the way, all the links to her stuff and my stuff. First of all, if you're liking what you're hearing, then just hit subscribe. We would love to have your support, whatever. I don't know about all the stuff like that, but just subscribe, and we would appreciate that. Now, I'm going to put my Calendly link in the description as well. And what I do is offer a free 1-hour breakthrough call, and there's absolutely zero stress. There's no selling. It's just you and me inviting God into the conversation to talk about what steps that He wants you to take next. If you're addicted to pornography or any other kind of electric sex or the flirting apps, or even if you're having affairs, whatever. I work with guys like that, and it's a true blessing. And there is hope. I mean, there's so much hope. If you could have known us 2 or 3 years ago, it was a disaster. We were okay, but we weren't okay.
Right.
But I would invite you, I would encourage you, I would just almost beg you. It's free, it's not going to cost you nothing, and I'm not going to pressure you into anything, okay? Just book the call. I'm going to dump so much knowledge, so much value on you that even if we never speak again, you're going to have a whole lot of tools in your tool belt to start working on yourself and getting over your addiction, and not by working on your addiction at all, but by addressing the traumas, the wounds, whatever you're hung up on, the mental obsessions that start to spin in your head that cause you to act out. And you know what they are better than I do. So hit the Calendly link, book a breakthrough call with me. I'll also put my Facebook group in. I've got a private and confidential Facebook group just for men where I'll do live trainings once a week. I get on video and do trainings with the guys. I post up questions, guys ask questions, I answer questions. So it's just a community, and you've got to have a tribe. You cannot do this alone. I promise you, you cannot do it alone. And if you've been trying to do it alone and you haven't done it yet, you're not going to be able to do it. You need a group, you need a community. So connect with us, okay? Hit subscribe, connect with us. We love you, and we'll see you next time.